Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 in our Talks with Walt, as we are calling our readings through the deathbed edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. We turn now to My Legacy, poem number 7 of the 17 of Songs of Parting. This is a fascinating little poem. This is in some ways a theodicy of a different kind. Whitman dealing with self-doubt. We, of course, are familiar with this idea of great writers who are maybe asking about their legacy, about their abilities. We'll end actually this conversation with both Shakespeare and Milton playing a similar kind of game. Our assumptions are that you've been with us from the very beginning of our study at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Talks with Walt, our playlist, and that you have been with us all the way up to and including a set of introductory comments to Songs of Parting, and then we just finished with Portals, Also Death. Now, our background information here is going to be important for us. This poem originated as an epigraph entitled Souvenirs of Democracy, introducing as Strong Bird on Pinions Free, 1872, which became a supplement incorporated with others in Two Rivulets of 1876. With the present title in Leaves of Grass, 1881, the poem shows considerable revision in the second stanza. And in fact, when we get there, we'll pause to come back to our Nortons to hear the way the poem originally got played with. Now, let's go ahead and just enjoy this. By the way, the word legacy gets used one and only one time in Leaves of Grass, and it's here, and it doesn't even get used in the poem itself. But notice how he juxtaposes the idea of the businessman or the banker with the poet. The businessman, by the way, that's the only use of that phrase in Leaves of Grass. The acquirer, vast, acquirer also only used one time in Leaves of Grass, and it's here. After assiduous years, assiduous only gets used one and only one time, and it's here. Surveying results, preparing for departure. So here we go. We have Whitman, of course, you know, in the order and the placement here, we've just celebrated the passing of his mother and his recognition that soon his time is coming. And notice how here, he's preparing to leave. We think obviously of Plato's Phaedo. A whole lot of these poems at the end of Leaves of Grass are drawn from that great study of Plato's Phaedo as Socrates is waiting to drink his hemlock shake. We've given a full lecture on it at learnstrong.net. Notice this businessman devises houses and lands to his children, obviously thinking about legacy, bequeaths stocks, goods, funds for a school or a hospital, leaves money. I told you his use of the word leaves in the collection called Leaves of Grass is fun. Leaves money to certain companions to buy tokens, souvenirs of gems and gold. In other words, the idea of economic legacy. But my life surveying, closing, and again, this idea that it's coming to its end. Of course, we'll think of Emily Dickinson's great My Life Closed Twice Before It's Closed. Closing with nothing to show. Again, this is going to be his point. I come to the end. I don't know that I have anything to pass on. To devise from its idle years. Again, this is his view of his life. What is it Da Vinci is purported to have said on his deathbed? I've wasted my days. We're playing a similar game here. Nor houses, nor lands, nor tokens of gems or gold for my friends. In other words, I don't have anything financially to pass on. It's in here that Norton's will tell us that following this line in the first 1871-76 version, the poem continues, only these souvenirs of democracy, and then in all my songs behind me leaving, to you, whoever you are, bathing, leavening this leaf, especially with my breath, pressing on it a moment with my own hands, here, feel how the pulse beats in my wrists, how my heart's blood is swelling, contracting. I will you in all myself, with promise to never desert you, to which I sign my name, Walt Whitman. Well, that's how the poem originally finished. Here's how it finished in the deathbed edition. Yet, certain remembrances of the war for you, thinking again, of course, of drum taps, and after you, and little souvenirs of camps and soldiers, with my love. I bind together, you'll remember this use of the word bind in Year of Meteors. I bind together and bequeath. Think about his use of this word bequeath here for the second time in this poem. Go back to Song Myself 52. I bequeath myself to the dirt, you'll remember. I bequeath in this bundle of songs. It is fascinating that he will qualify Leaves of Grass as a bundle or a collection. I told you his powerful imagery of grabbing or clasping or hugging or holding hands, and here it's the bundling, right? At 2a, what are we going to say about this poem? Well, I think that the argument is that in the end, all that Whitman could give is what he gave. Leaves of grass, a bundle, if you will. And for that, the great gift. And of course, the great gift to us. I would hope that you are beginning to see it that way. At 2b, I love his comparing the banker or the businessman to the poet and the artist. Of course, Whitman died broke, as we have said. He always wished that he could have more currency, emolument, and it just never happened in his life. At 3a, there are two poems I think that Whitman is playing with here as he is coming to this idea. You'll remember Shakespeare's sonnet 29, when in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state. It's amazing to think, we've given a full lecture on this at LearnStrong.net, that the great poet, the greatest poet, maybe we would say, begins to believe that maybe it's all for naught, and troubled of heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, feature like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself, almost despising, haply I think on thee, and in my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. Or Milton's sonnet 7, and think of it, if Shakespeare's sonnet 29 is 1609, then 1632 we have the young Milton, and again we've given full exegesis on this at LearnStrong. How soon hath time the subtle thief of youth stolen on his wing my 23 year at 23. My hastening days fly on with full career, but my late spring no bud or blossom showeth. I'm a looser. Perhaps my semblance might deceive the truth that I to manhood am arrived so near, and inward ripeness doth much less appear that some more timely happy spirits endureth. Yet be it less or more, or soon or slow, it shall be still in strictest measure even. To that same lot, however mean or high, toward which time leads me, and the will of heaven, all is, if I have grace to use it so, as ever, in my great taskmaster's eye. Well, I think this idea of self-doubt, especially the great artists, are always seeming to, we think of Van Gogh, don't we? Always struggling with, I know what I'm doing is great, I know that I'm doing is a legacy, but is it really? Will it be appreciated in the ways that I hope? Finally, at 3b, well, what was a time that you suffered your own kind of self-doubt? Your own sense of, am I really doing anything of real meaning? Feel comforted to know that, wow, in that tradition we have obviously Shakespeare and Milton, as well as, of course, Whitman comes to mind with a poem like this. Finally, and I love this question because we're now coming to the end of Leaves of Grass, and I think Whitman would enjoy our asking this question for ourselves. What in the end will be your legacy? What will be your bundle, if I could ask it that way? I hope that Leaves of Grass is challenging you to consider your legacy. Thank you.